it's rare that I talk about other YouTubers. I don't know what to call this. Superman was plagued by terrible marketing. Oh, God, here we go. So this was something I saw today. I'm not going to watch the whole thing. I'm not going to react to the whole thing. I'm just going to look at key points in this this Superman bit of the Geeks and Gamers cast that they usually do every weekday. Tune in every weekday for this stuff. I kind of unsubscribed because it's mostly the same shite over and over and over and over. There's so many things that's been going on. So much news. So with this, Luna was, Anna Luna, wasn't it? What her name? Luna, Paulina Luna. She was on Joe Rogan Experience, which was good. That was a good thing. Let's take a look at this.
I'd use that as a reason to go ahead and jump into this right here. So, Superman, they were going to release it digitally on the 26th, but they've moved it to the 15th.
So now I'm less motivated to actually do this commentary. I don't know if I want to buy James Gunn's desperation here. I might wait till Labor Day to buy the movie or rent the movie. But I don't know if I want to buy it right now. I really don't care about this. I have something else that I bought. And I'm probably the first YouTuber to do this ever. Because I've looked it up on YouTube. Either there was and it's deleted, or no one has ever done this, right? It's like when someone was the first guy to cover Saberwolf for the Game Boy Advance. And then some people covered it later on, like myself. It's superhero related, and once I get a hold of it, I will talk about it and share it with all of you. But yeah, August 15th and not the 26th. So this Friday, I will not be buying it on Friday. I don't want to buy into his desperation. I don't care about the man's desperation. This movie did not do as well to really generate a lot of things. It's just, Peacemaker's going to come out. Lanterns, we're not sure, but it's not looking good. And if it's motivating me to create my own version of characters like Supergirl and Guy Gardner, what does that tell you? That the movie didn't do so well. And even doing the Joey Diaz bits, I mean, I just had no faith in this movie. It's the fact that Superman was treated like a joke. If you go back to that post-credit scene where Mr. Terrific has a hissy fit, much like Joker does, right? At the end of the movie, the post-credits, like, what is that? Mr. Terrific is supposed to be a noble hero. I mean, even the actor who played Mr. Terrific in the CW era was more noble than that. And while they couldn't figure it out, I'm thinking, well, it didn't do that well overseas because I don't know if that Joe Shuster lawsuit had anything to do with it. Even if they didn't settle, or maybe they did settle. I don't know what exactly happened with the Joe Shuster lawsuit. Probably that all gets settled after the movie came out, but yeah, the Joe Shuster family was going to have some things to say, even if the Jerry Siegel family completely caved in, which was just kind of heartbreaking in a way. But then it's like, I guess at some point the great grandkids of Jerry Siegel were going to take a side.
Wants for it to be on like Blu-ray, but now it's like 30 days, 35 days. People were cheering it on, saying that like, oh, it's not going to release, in 35 days or on the 15th.
I want to say that when I was a kid, in case for those people who are under 30 years old, it would take a couple of years for a movie to get onto VHS or Betamax. You had to wait years. The movies would be in theaters for a while. I don't know when. I think it was like maybe less than a year for the original Batman movie to get onto VHS tape. About a year. So you would see it on June 20th, 1989, and maybe by the time you got to spring of 1990, then it would be on tape. I think that's how it worked. But it used to be longer. So, I mean, we had patience, but we hated the patience.
More money. They need more money for this movie because, like, it's a failure.
That's why I'm not buying into James Gunn's desperation.
Don't want it to be a flop. It's a flop. Like, breaking even for a movie is not a success. You don't invest in a movie just to break even. Like, it is.
At some point, Beardo goes off the rails here. That's what we're here for.
Fanboys on the internet, they're just as bad as the alphabet community and these fucking gays making like. I'm just being honest. Like making their sexuality their entire personality.
Yeah, the thing is that when Star Wars The Last Jedi happened, I mean, I had a smartphone back then. I could have made my anger, but I wasn't angry. I was very disappointed at what Disney was doing. Now Disney's got WWE, or ESPN has WWE. I don't know what's happening. Disney, every time Disney, you think maybe there's a chance they go buy another thing. They go buy another thing. Like, they could buy up everything and ruin everything. And if people haven't fucking learned, I remember this one dude that I had, a classmate in Japanese language class. I told him I would never sell my IPs to Disney. And he's like, you would if the money was right. Like, nope. Nope. Have we learned yet? And I think what was he born in 92? So he's in his 30s now. But he was in his 20s when I met him. Like, he was like a dumbass. Like, have you learned anything yet? So we'll
That's what these
go on to
James
Beardos.
Gunn freaks sound like. Like, this movie succeeding is their entire personality. It's their entire being. It's what gives them breath and life in the morning.
Breath of the Wild.
Movie being good.
I kind of wonder too, like, as I'm pausing this, because Zack Snyder and James Gunn were friends. Like, there was never a way. Like, in an ideal way, Zack Snyder would have been allowed to continue the Justice League, but it would have been released on HBO Max or Max. And all of James Gunn's stuff is in theaters and VOD, and then on Blu-ray and 4K every day. So, like, having the cake and eat it too approach is not happening here. I mean, remember when the Looney Tunes, Porky Pig and Daffy Duck? That almost didn't happen. I mean, the Acme, versus Coyote versus Acme didn't happen. Batgirl didn't happen. So a lot of things didn't happen, and they could have happened, but they just didn't want to happen. So they could have had Batgirl on Max. They could have done anything. They are calling HBO Max because you can't get rid of they called it Max for a while, and they call it HBO Max because you can't get rid of the HBO logo because people know that logo. But HBO having Batgirl, having Zack Snyder's Justice League Part 2, Part 3, having some of the other ideas, while James Gunn has his universe, and maybe even if they overlap, who cares? The Flash movie establishes multiverses. The Crisis on Infinite Earths from the CW establishes multiverses. What is the fucking problem? That's what bothers me, is that we cannot have the cake and eat it too. You got to have one or the other. We are still backwards in the 80s where we only have Michael Keaton's Batman. We can only have Christopher Reeve's Superman. And by the way, Christopher Reeve's Superman, Dick Donner is still the champion here because his vision was the prime version. His was Superman Prime as far as the movies go.
Absolutely not. And they took that and they ran with that as if studios and studio heads have never
asking about
lied,
the $650 million to make a profit.
They've never lied. No, Like, of course he's going to say it's false because they want this to appear as a success when it's not. But they're taking what he says as gospel, as 100% gospel, and they're like, see, James Gunn says it, so it has to be true. He says it, screenshotted everywhere. James Gunn says that it doesn't need to make 650, guys. Don't worry about it. It's a success. That it's fake news that it has to make a certain amount of money in order to break even and be a success. But James Gunn says it doesn't have to, so, you know, that it's gospel. It is written. So says our master, James Gunn.
Yep. The magic 8 ball, James Gunn.
That they just take what he says as gospel because they don't want to admit the reality that this movie is a flop. It's a flop.
And let's be honest.
Before Beardo goes into the rant. Now, it's job security, but as long as James Gunn produces good content. Now, I go back to my job working at Universal Studios, okay? Now, my job is a far cry from working in a white-collar job where your job is to be a public figure, but you're a director and you're going and you're spending. And they're talking about now, everybody's talking about this money spent for promoting Superman. And James Gunn spent a lot of money promoting Superman. He went to a lot of places. He had to make sure he had to get the Siegel family, kind of bribe them a bit. He had to get other people on board to say, please like my movie. It's kind of like with Tommy Tallarico and getting Ralph Baer to sign off on his work, even though Ralph Baer had been dead. And his grandson worked. They weren't going to fall for that shit. But it was kind of it was a different time. And so he's trying to keep his job security. But when I was working at Universal Studios, you had to be there on time, but you had job security as long as you were doing your job and on time, and you had an efficiency to how you were cleaning up. Because if you didn't clean up at all, they were going to come after you, right? And for James Gunn, as long as he produced work that fit, so if you're making a PG movie, make a PG movie. Making a PG-13 movie, make a PG-13 movie. And him reassuring investors, oh, no rated R movies. It's going to be funny, even though he's made some rated R content before. And so he's got to produce the work, and if it makes the profits, right? If his next movie, which is I'm assuming it's Supergirl he's directing, if that doesn't make a profit higher than what Superman is, it doesn't matter what he says. Because at some point, things start getting canceled, one after the other, after the other, after the other. Because Peacemaker's a lock. Lanterns is almost a lock. Supergirl's still up in the air. So things are happening, but at what speed, right? And I keep thinking, when I went to my mom's funeral and then the after funeral luncheon, my sister liked the movie. My youngest sister, she loved the movie. She collected Batman comic books back when she was a kid. She collected Batman comic books up until, I would say, in her mid-20s. And when she got married, she didn't collect and had kids. She didn't collect as many comic books, but she collected Batman. But she thought the James Gunn thing was a masterpiece. She thought it was great. I'm like, nope. Let's get into Beardo's rant here, because this is going to be good.
These people who are dying on this Superman hill, this James Gunn fandom, I've been saying it for a long fucking time. It's the Marvel normie stands, the MCU stands that have been persistent for the past 10, 15 years on Disneyfying the DC. They want to Disneyfy and MCU fucking, like, they want to change DC into the MCU. They want to make it Disney. And now that they got their guy, James Gunn, over there at Warner Brothers, now they're like, finally, we get our MCU DCU. And it was never going to work that way.
Yeah, I think they were talking about, too, like, we didn't get a Man of Steel 2, or Angry Joe wanted a Man of Steel 2. I think somewhere in the middle would have been the answer between Batman v Superman. I mean, it's like, you don't want to do 3 or 4 Superman movies that don't connect to anything, and then the fourth one might connect to it. It's like, it would have been better if they did make a sequel, if they had made a sequel, but then you have to get the tie-in at the end, and then you would go for the Batman v Superman. But I liked the transition from having just Superman in the movie, and then you had Batman come in, then Justice League. That's the way Zack Snyder wanted to do it. It had not been done before, but he did it that way. And yes, it was a response to MCU, but Warner Brothers was going to do something rash anyway. Even if it wasn't for the MCU, they were going to do something. I mean, they had a good movie with The Dark Knight and The Dark Knight Rises. And they were trying to go with Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds with Green Lantern, but that didn't happen the way it was supposed to happen. So instead of Green Lantern, you had Man of Steel be the first of many movies. Can we?
It was never going to be the case.
No, and you have, again, the fact that DC is constantly chasing Marvel is weird, because DC has the most iconic characters in history. And they just can't get their shit together.
Justice League, 3 movies in, they didn't let it breathe because they're trying to catch up to that glorious MCU money. And then once that was done and over with, and the whole thing with Joss Whedon and Zack Snyder with Justice League,
yeah, that was a mess.
Tore the whole fucking thing apart. Even though they still had more movies down the pipeline that they already had, shoveled money into, that they had to get out. That's why Aquaman 2 underperformed. That's why The Flash. I mean.
By the way, those movies are still watchable, most of those movies. I do like Birds of Prey. I do like the Aquaman movies. I thought they were fine. They didn't have that body horror, gothic sort of 300 look that Zack Snyder had put. But I don't know if I want one director to creatively do all the movies, because, first of all, that's way too much. I mean, you remember how George Lucas had a heart attack trying to do his movies. So he had other directors. He had Irvin Kershner in charge of Empire. He had, I forgot the guy's name. He had another director in charge of Return of the Jedi, Richard Marquand. So he had other people in charge because it was tough. But you got to let other people create. Patty Jenkins was the wrong person for Wonder Woman. Because you could have had Zack Snyder direct Wonder Woman, and then that would have been fine. But Patty Jenkins really had no experience. And you saw that with 84. That was a fucking mess. 84, I think, was really the beginning. Birds of Prey, I let it be the girl power movie because you kind of, I mean, I like to see a diversity of story, a diversity of character, not a diversity of race, but a diversity of character. And that to me was more important than just having Zack Snyder write every single movie. I don't think that's good either. And definitely not good that James Gunn would direct every single thing.
To be fair, those movies were dog shit. But nobody gave a fuck about the universe anymore because you already had the new regime coming in that they just had to get those movies out because they were already fucking spent. They already spent the money on doing it. So now that this movie's underperformed, you get what you fucking deserve because you're trying to catch up to the MCU. You're trying to make DC Disney, and it doesn't make sense for these characters. So guess what? Now you got what you wanted. You made your bed. Fucking lay in it.
This is where you are. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Steph.
By Justice League, they had already collectively blown their load. Like, they didn't give any room for characters to...
Yeah, that happened with... But I will still put Zack Snyder's Justice League as the top tier. I will put that in the top tier of superhero movies. That's what I'm going to do, because I felt like that was the best. With that Force Stick kind of being as a close second.
Earlier, Jeremy, about nobody's excited for this new James Gunn universe because here's what's going to happen. Because we know it's going to be MCU-ified. They got the Lanterns TV show that's coming out later this year or early next year. They have a old man playing Hal Jordan. Your boy, Kyle Chandler, is going to be Hal Jordan. Mm-hmm. James Gunn has already said that this Lanterns TV show, which is probably going to be a buddy cop TV show, it's John Stewart's story. John Stewart is going to be his Green Lantern. I guarantee you, chat. Write it down right now. Fear the Beardo said on August 13, 2025, they are going to kill Hal Jordan by the end of that Lanterns TV show, season 1. I guarantee you, which is crazy that Hal Jordan...
They'll probably nerf him. They'll probably... Obviously, I've been looking at the reviews for Absolute Green Lantern. And in that Absolute Green Lantern, Hal Jordan is very nerfed. He looks like the anime teenager kid. Like, he's like kind of weaker than Marty. Think of Marty McFly, Michael J. Fox's character. Back to the Future. Okay, Marty McFly. Marty McFly is the last of those golly gee whiz kind of kids, but he'll swear. He does a little bit of swearing because it's the 80s. You can swear. But he's kind of that nice kid. And that's what Hal Jordan is in this. He's this teenager. Now, the little bit of spoilery things, but he has the black hand. And it's reference to a previous, I don't know if it was New 52, before New 52, a previous Green Lantern story arc involving a cursed hand that kills things, right? So Abin Sur looks like Martian Manhunter with a long head, like an alien head from Aliens, right? And he kills this Abin Sur kills people. So you have this one black chick, and she's got the power of the Green Lantern. Hal Jordan has the power of the black hand. So his whole hand is a black silhouette that does not catch light. It's almost invisible, but it's like a black void, like the black hole, like in outer space. So his hand is cursed. John Stewart is like this kind of beefy, he's like the Justice League, Phil Lamar. Yes, it's John Stewart, very manly John Stewart. Okay, big muscular kind of. I don't know how to play. He's like, think of that actor that could be this big muscular guy with a goatee, and that's John Stewart. Okay, with glasses, and he's looking like God's gift to like all the black chicks and maybe the white chicks too. So he's like the sexy alpha dude that has the Green Lantern power. And there's a cliffhanger at the last, I think it's issue 5, in which we see an older, like a 60-year-old or 50-year-old Jon Stewart in a void in space, in outer space. And that's kind of where we're at with that. I don't know if I like that version more than Green Lantern Earth 1, which Gabriel Hardman got pissed off at James Gunn. James was like, so the bastard goes in, I don't know if he said the bastard, but so this guy has the nerve to go, and he tweeted this, okay? He has the nerve to promote his movie using my art. Yeah, so Green Lantern Earth 1, you can go back to my videos. I talk about that. I love those books. That's my favorite, with Superman Earth 1 Book 3 being at a close second, and the Batman Earth 1 books being at a third. I thought it was very good. And Hal Jordan was his best as he ever was. You had Kilowog. Jon Stewart was Jon Stewart, but he was the guy at the end who talks to Carol. And Hal is still the only single solitary. He is the sole Green Lantern, just like Superman is the sole survivor. So I think James Gunn is going after the absolute content and not the Earth 1 content, which is far, far better. If you want a real Green Lantern story, go pick up Green Lantern Earth 1 by Gabriel Hardman and Karina Becco. It's the best stuff ever. The absolute stuff's okay, but I would say it's an average to above average. I think that as cool as some of that stuff is, it's like what the fuck stuff. You have Guy Gardner as a sheriff who gets killed by Abin Sur. It's all kinds of weird shit. I don't know if I really care for this. Now, Kyle Chandler, I do remember from, was it Morning Edition or Weekend Edition? It was a TV show on CBS in which you had this guy. It was much like Person of Interest with Jim Caviezel. But this guy wakes up to an orange cat that meows at his doorstep. And every time he opens the door, he opens it, and the cat just runs off, and he picks up the newspaper, and the newspaper tells what happens the next day. So every episode on CBS, he goes and he's rescuing people from burning buildings or getting from car accidents or whatever, or manslaughters. And he does that like every time, just try to like be this hero. So he already played a superhero of sorts. So I think it's Morning Edition or Weekend Edition, whichever one. That's the one I think I saw the end of it, where the orange cat was always like a timeless animal that would get people to help people, whatever. That's just what it was.
Jon Stewart cannot coexist in this DC universe. You already have Guy Gardner there. It's only a matter of time before you bring in Kyle Rayner. Like, why kill Hal Jordan? Well, because James Gunn said that Jon Stewart is his favorite, so they're just going to kill Hal Jordan. I also guarantee you, Wonder Woman in this James Gunn universe is going to be gay. She's going to be a fucking lesbian because she lives on she's from Themyscira.
Now, as far as that goes, I can see him saying stupid shit like, why can't Wonder Woman rub thighs against Artemis and shit, something nasty, right? It's like, you can see some people probably being upset. You know, there are some girls that are fans of, you know, they like Steve Trevor. They like, you know, that she could have a boyfriend, or maybe she could fall for Superman. Even though that's probably not going to happen because Superman and Lois. But I could see them dialing back the lesbianism. And so the lesbianism would probably be like here and there sprinkled throughout the movie. Like, oh, like, you know. Like, I think, wasn't there lesbianism in Sailor Moon? Like, I think if there were subtle hints at lesbianism in Sailor Moon, then I think that same thing will happen with Wonder Woman. I think they will play on it. They will fuck with the audience about it. And oh my God, I think there's lesbianism. Like, but they don't spell it out because James Gunn will probably dial it back to isolate, like, oh, I don't want to isolate my audience. I love my audience. You know, I was talking about something on X about James Gunn doing some weird logo with Peacemaker like Superman. But I could see him doing it because he's just like that kind of geezer.
Land of only women.
I mean,
she's gonna be gay. She's gonna be lesbian.
Hot lesbians are not a problem for
I'm
me.
just telling you. That's what he's going to do.
All I know is in the Bible it says if you're a dude, you can't be gay, but hot lesbians are okay. That's what I heard anyway.
That rhymes.
Wonder Woman? I think I saw that somewhere. But they're like, yeah, we're gonna make a Wonder Woman movie. It just came out of nowhere.
So why do you have any why do you think they're gonna make her gay? Have you heard anything, or is that just a guess?
there's already some lore. There's the graphic novel and animated movie Superman Red Sun, which is like an alternate universe where Superman lands in Russia instead of in the United States.
Only the first book is worth reading. Forget the other two books.
And Wonder Woman's in it, and she's gay. And Superman's like trying to hit on her. He's smooth talking her and stuff. And she's like, yeah, you know, you got some charm, you got some charisma, but I come from a land of all women. You know, I don't swing that way. I swing the other way. I like chicks, is what Wonder Woman said to Superman.
In the book, though, she did come on to Superman. In the book, I don't know about the movie. I've not seen the. I don't understand why he needed to kill Stalin in cold blood. In the book, in the first book of Red Sun, Superman stands by Stalin's side until his death. Okay, because he was a hero. So he was put in a more patronizing manner because Superman wouldn't just go and kill Stalin like that. He does in the cartoon. I don't understand that shit. But, I mean, yes, we don't like the Russians. I get it, but it's like it was done more respectfully in the book.
So James Gunn is just going to take any single little
that is not in the scriptures.
and see that bit of a very rejected version of Supergirl that they're going with here.
The Woman of Tomorrow stuff.
But James Gunn just takes whatever he likes. This is my favorite part of DC. Does it make sense? No, but guess what? That's what I'm going to run with. We just got Ben Affleck as an older, almost retired, coming out of retirement.
I mean, like, I don't expect every director to have, like, memorabilia of the thing they're directing on their shelves. But if you're going to pick things you like, make sure it's something that most people can get behind.
Batman. Well, that was one of the biggest complaints about the Snyder Ben Affleck Batman was like, oh man, we have this young universe, but we have like an older, you know, experienced Batman, which I don't mind. I love The Dark Knight Returns. But what James Gunn is doing for his Batman, at least what he said, is he's doing Batman Brave and the Bold. If you know Batman Brave and the Bold, that is Damian Wayne Robin. Well, how do you get to Damian Wayne? Well, you got to go through Dick Grayson, Jason Todd, and Tim Drake. So what are we doing here? Because now, and if James Gunn, I'm going to go on a rant here, Jeremy. If James Gunn is going to be the guy at DC for the next 10, 15, 20 years, there is some glorious storytelling to be told. Why are you going to fast track to Damian Wayne and you're going to skip over Dick Grayson becoming Nightwing? You're going to skip over Jason Todd, Death in the Family, and Red Hood, Ra's al Ghul. You're going to skip over Tim Drake, Red Robin. You're going to skip over the Killing Joke with Barbara Gordon and Batgirl and Joker shooting and paralyzing Barbara Gordon and her becoming Oracle. And you're going to go straight to fucking Damian Wayne? That right there alone is 15 years of glorious storytelling. Some of the best Batman storytelling ever in comic books and in animated movies and even in the animated series. You're going to gloss over all that because why? Because James Gunn is such a fucking narcissist. He's like, well, Damian Wayne is my favorite Robin, so that's what we're going to do. So now you either have to do one of two things, James Gunn. You're either going to have to already have established, like in the universe with no explanation, Nightwing, Red Hood, Red Robin, Barbara Gordon's Oracle, Ra's al Ghul, and Tom.
Okay, so, by the way, The Son of Batman was a very good animated movie. If you haven't checked it out, check it out, okay? If you don't want to go through the comic books, and I don't, check out Son of Batman. The other two movies where it's Batman versus Robin, and then there was the one where Talia is evil for no real good reason. Check out the first one where Bruce Wayne does meet his son. Very good animated movie. One of the best. Best of the best, as the Flash says. Now, as I told you, I don't expect directors to have comic books on their shelves for the thing they're directing. Nobody should expect that. You'd be a fool to expect that. But, I mean, George Lucas has stuff on his shelf in his ranch because George Lucas created the damn thing. He created Star Wars. I'm okay with skipping over things, but if you're going to skip over things, make it good. As Kevin Smith, before he lost weight and simped to the Hollywood cocksucking machine, Kevin Smith said when he was talking about Superman Lives, because he was working on it, you know, there's so many middle story chapters in which you have this happened, this happened, this happened, this happened, this happened, this happened, this happened. But you can't do that in a movie, man. You can't do that in a movie. So you got to pick out the highlights. It's like when you adapt a book, you got to take out some things because the movie's got a flow. You can't have every single thing. It's extremely rare. Sometimes I would say, what about a montage? Okay, they did these things. A montage is sometimes the best way. But sometimes you have to skip over those things. Damian Wayne would be a good idea. As much as I hate to say it, Beardo, it would be a good idea to do that. Also, I think that if you can make the characters relatable, but the problem isn't skipping over things or bastardizing some things, because you have to do that for TV and movie consumption. It's the way that he doesn't take these characters seriously. Much like Kevin Smith today, he's very patronizing, and Kevin Smith patronizes. So whoever is going to direct Brave and the Bold is going to do it by James Gunn's direction, just like when Patty Jenkins did things by Zack Snyder's direction, which can backfire, really. Because even if the director has great ideas, James Gunn's like, no, we need to have silly shit in there. Like, what the fuck? So that's the issue. I don't care how much he skips. Now, some people say, well, look, if Bruce Wayne was 25 when he became Batman, let's say he was like 27, 28 when Robin came around, Dick Grayson. So by the time you get through all this, maybe he'd be in his 40s with Damian Wayne. Okay, that might work. That's the only way it could really work. But you have to be able to get the audience hooked on that. I would say if you took out Todd and Drake and just had Dick Grayson, and that's it. Like, Dick Grayson leaves the nest and becomes Nightwing or does his own thing. So now there's an empty nest. So if you just had those two Robins, that's probably the best of both worlds. You satisfy the comic book goers, the movie goers, the different generations of people, the fathers, the sons, the uncles, the nephews and nieces, moms and daughters who collected Batman stuff for years. I think that's the best compromise. Maybe two Robins. Okay? So that's it for now. I wanted to just pick apart this whole thing. This kind of got me worked up in the morning. Beardo wants it all, but Beardo, we can't have it all. Compromise is important. It's just like the comic book guy, the guy I would see at the comic book store, at my comic book store, he did not like Days of Future Past, X-Men, the movie. He wanted it to be about Kitty Pryde, but Hugh Jackman's the star. But the compromises worked well. Hugh Jackman's a good actor. He made the movie work. You had to have Hugh Jackman. You had to have Jennifer Lawrence. Jennifer Lawrence has lost her star power. But she made a good movie lately. She made good movies, but, her Trump derangement stuff. But Hugh Jackman and Jennifer Lawrence, they made a good movie. And I think Days of Future Past is the best X-Men movie ever. Even if the comic book series was the best. That was top tier. But you have to find a middle ground. So I hope you find a middle ground with things you like. And I don't know about seeing that James Gunn movie and reacting to it. But I'm going to hold my breath. Figure out what movie I'm referring to there.